To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So once again, I've had a pretty productive day. I decided that I was going to work on the wood stove a little bit more, which is one of the advantages of doing things early. It got cold recently, and I was getting worried about next winter. I wasn't ready for next winter because I didn't have a wood furnace. And so for the last, I don't know, week and a half now, I've been working on the wood furnace. It's May right now. And of course, you know, I want to make sure this thing is ready to go in October. Since it cooled down, I thought, well, what's the perfect time to start working on this? So we went out and bought a old Franklin wood stove. My grandmother had one just like this when I was growing up. I played hours in front of it. So we went and got it. It cost 50 bucks. And, you know, it was old, obviously, but it's outside. So I wasn't all that concerned about safety and make sure that things didn't catch on fire. Carbon monoxide. So what I did was I built a heat exchanger on the top and back of it out of bricks here. And so what happens is the inside this gap between the wood stove and the heat exchanger, it builds up a lot of heat, and then I just pump that heat from the heat exchanger, not from inside the stove, but from inside the heat exchanger into the camper. So there shouldn't be any carbon monoxide or smoke getting into the camper because the smoke goes through the chimney. So we've been running it for about 3, I don't know, maybe 4 days, pretty consistently, testing it out because it's so cool. You know, it's 50 degrees right now. So you can run it. Of course, we don't need to run it, but we could. And it did really well. I mean, really well. It does so well that this inlet temperature here can get up to 200 degrees. It happened last night, 200 degrees. And I was actually starting to get worried that the coroplast, the siding that we've got on the side of the camper, would melt. So I looked up the melting temperature of coroplast, and that's at 324 degrees or something. So here we are, we're almost getting a temperature inside the camper, you know, this pumping into the camper at almost boiling temperature. I'm really happy with this performance. It got down to 32 degrees one night. We stayed warm. So I think this is going to work for us throughout the winter. Yesterday, I came out to fill it up with wood. And I opened the doors, and of course all the smoke plumes out of the wood stove, and I put wood into it, no big deal. Closed the doors and walked back inside the camper, and the camper was full of smoke. And I couldn't understand why it was full of smoke. My assumption is, I had the other window open on the other side of the camper. Maybe it came in that way, but I wasn't going to risk it. The major reason I decided to go with the wood stove, outdoor wood stove, was to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. We ran propane the entire time in the winter, of course, that we were nomads. And I would say at least once a month, the carbon monoxide detector would go off with the propane running. Something would happen. Maybe the stove was dirty or the window got shut, or it was always something. And it was just, it's frightening when that carbon monoxide detector goes off. So with the camper full of smoke, I just decided it's not worth it to me to risk getting carbon monoxide poisoning or smoke inhalation or anything that was dangerous. So I spent the day really tweaking the wood stove. And there were several things that I wanted to take care of while I was out here. Now, of course, it's rained all day. As soon as I get finished, that's when the rain stops. I checked this morning, the rain wasn't even supposed to hit until after 2 o'clock. So I got up early, came out here about 7:30, and no sooner did I start working, it started raining. So the first thing I did was I installed a flapper valve. A dampener is what they call them. And what this does is it controls the flow of heat. So if I open it all the way up, the wood burns really fast. It doesn't get very hot, actually. When the dampener is all the way open, the heat exchanger cools down to about 110 degrees. But as I close it, it slows down the burn, but it also holds the heat in. And so when you start to close that off, it heats up and you slow your burn of wood. A lot to learn here. Carolyn has done wood stoves her entire adult life. I've never done it during my adult life. Now, my parents and grandparents ran wood heat, but you know, I'm a kid, what do I know? The reason I wanted to put that in is because this stove has a dampener on it. And it's right here. You're not going to be able to see it, but you'll be able to hear it. And so that opens and shuts. It's a dampener that's actually installed into the wood stove. The problem with that darn thing is you got to open the door in order to do it. And it's hot. The flames are whipping it. So I don't like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that one fully open. And I'm just going to use the one that I've installed. So when you come out here and you start a fire and you want to get the fire rolling really fast, you open the dampener all the way up. Then you go in, you wait a little while, and then you come back out and you want to close the dampener. I just close it from there instead of having to open the doors back up. But then I wanted to address the safety concern. These old wood stoves, they're bolted together. So each wall is bolted to the side wall is bolted to the back wall, the top is bolted to the sides. So I decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal it. Well, my first thought is I'll get some extreme heat JB Weld. I've used it on this thing already once, and it worked, but they're $10 for 3-ounce jar. I mean, there's not much to it. And I got all these seams to do. Plus, I wanted to get around the chimney. Right here, you see I wanted that seam sealed up. So that meant that if I was going to use JB Weld, it was going to be 60, 80, maybe $100 to buy enough of it to seal all the seams up. And it was just making me sick. I thought, you know, why didn't I just go buy a new stove? It would have probably been cheaper in the long run. So I started looking and I Googled leaking Franklin stove. That's what this is, a Franklin stove. Leaking smoke, whatever. Because this is supposed to be an indoor stove. It's not supposed to leak. So there was lots of videos showing that all kinds of stoves develop leaks over their lifetime. And you seal them up. Oh, wow! And so they said to use furnace cement, high temperature furnace cement. So I Googled high temperature furnace cement, and it was like, I don't know, 10, 20 bucks for a quart of it, or you know, half gallon of it, whatever. So I called my local hardware store and I said, do you have any wood furnace cement? He said, yeah, we got some. He said it comes in pint sizes and it's $7. That's perfect. So I bought it. It's 16 fluid ounces. JB Weld's 3 fluid ounces, which, you know, well, you'd have to have 5 of them to make one of these, a little over 5 of them to make one of these, actually. And so I bought it, and I started sealing everything up. Well, it actually took more than the 16 ounces. So I ended up having to get 2 of them, so I went back today and got some more. And you can see that I have sealed up all the seams, all the way around, everywhere, up at the top and around. It took a couple hours, and of course it's starting to rain again. And I did it in the rain with my rain poncho. I'm feeling really good about this now. Now, another thing I did was, of course, this is an old wood stove. They have front dampeners that are broke. See this little thing here? The screw fell off of it. This thing right here, that broke. This was supposed to go right here. Well, it broke, I mean, almost the day after I got it. So I needed to make some repairs. I drilled a hole a little bigger, put a bolt through it. So now I can just slide it over. Works really well. And so that creates airflow. Well, this one over here was missing. There wasn't one at all. So I had to create one. I had to build one. I found a little piece of metal in my toolbox that I got. And same thing, I can just slide that over. And now it creates a little air hole here. Shut it. So that's going to be easier. I was putting bricks in front of it to kind of stop the airflow. So I've had a productive day, and I'm feeling really good about our wood stove every day, finding things out about it, and finding cheap solutions to fix it. Thanks for watching.